guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Kraang, part of the new Nickelodeon cartoon series that's coming out later this year. And as you can see, Kraang is an extra-dimensional enemy of Earth. So, really kind of bad, and I absolutely love this guy, at least how he looks. Now, flipping around here on the back, one thing that automatically is appealing to me is this is a lot like how the brain creatures kind of looked in the comic series. In the original comics, this is really kind of what they look like. They walked around brains inside robots, which the 80s kind of cartoon kind of sort of touched on, but not really all that much. And there was a lot of these brain creatures, not just Kraang. There was a lot of them. I actually don't remember Kraang being specifically part of that comic series. I don't think he was. But that's obviously where they got the inspiration from. Then you flip around here on the back, and it says, creepy, controlling, and vicious, the Kraang are extra-dimensional, multi-tentacle, brain-like conquerors set on colonizing Earth. So apparently Kraang, that's just the enemy, so that's just their race. To do so, they've come armed with powerful Kraang droid exosuits that, in some modes, appear human. But turtles beware, inside rests a sickly, gross evil too frightening to face. Weapons include super-powered Kraang droid exoskeletons and laser blasters, and Kraang evil aliens. So this isn't actually Kraang. The character that we know of is Kraang. These are Kraang creatures. That's their race, I suppose, which is actually really kind of interesting. I'm curious to see what they're gonna do with that. Definitely seems like, now that I read the bio, that it's more like the actual comic book. So let's get the Kraang opened up and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Kraang opened up and out of its packaging, and I'm going to name this guy, because he's, the Kraang race. I'm going to name this one Randy. Yeah, this is going to be Randy in honor of the NECA Toys guy, Randy Falk. So this one's for you, buddy. Now, one thing, when I'm reading the packaging and things of that nature, one thing that I'm automatically getting is that this is kind of almost a mix between the 80s cartoon and the comic book. What they're basically doing is taking the idea of Kraang from the original cartoon series and multiplying that. And much like what the comic book series did. In the comic book series, these aliens, there were a lot of them. But the comic book series, they were actually good guys. When the cartoon series started, they took one of those kind of brain creatures and made him a bad guy and named him Kraang. So it really kind of seems what they're doing is they're taking both elements from both different kind of franchises and giving a new spin on it, which I'm kind of curious about. Now, this definitely has more of a comic series look to it with this body, and I'll get into that more later on. But again, what we're having here is some of the problems that have plagued a lot of the Playmate toys in the past. Figures that are stuck like this. This is really kind of it. It's really kind of unfortunate because I was really actually very excited about this guy. But you can see that he has a hard time standing unless you get it in a very specific configuration. Now, he does have a peg hole on the bottom, which will probably help things later on when we get things like the sewer playset and maybe other kind of interactive sections. Got my fingers crossed that we might get a modern Technodrome. But in terms of his articulation, all he has is a really strong ball-jointed head. I mean, you can get some crazy poses. Like, what? I mean, it's crazy pose. Ball-jointed shoulders, so they rotate all the way around, and that's it. These arms are locked in this position. They're kind of a soft rubber, so you definitely want to be a little bit careful and not overdo things. And then the legs are on swivels back and forth, nothing at the knees. So you have possibly a running pose that is great, except he isn't going to hold it very well. So on your mark, get set, go! And that's it. I mean, that's really kind of it. Let me kind of zoom in here because it is a nice looking figure. Zooming in, you can see some nice silver kind of wash paint job on throughout the chest and everything, which looks really very cool. Get around here on the back and you got these pink kind of wires going throughout him. The face is really kind of cool. Again, you got a silver wash kind of going through it, which really does come across very nicely. Now, The rest of the body is just kind of this dark gray plastic, nothing too spectacular going on with it. But Randy here actually does remove, and you can see it leaves a little cavity inside there, and here you have Randy, and it looks like Kraang. That's all I can really say. I mean, it looks like a brain dude, and this is a very soft rubber that you can almost goof around and give him a little Kraang hat if you really wanted. And then these are also a soft rubber, and I mean, you can see that they're oh, well, stand, robot dude, stay. So I mean, this is actually really cool. Nice painted eyes on there. I love the mouth on here, very cool. But it's what I like this. It just really kind of sucks that this is the figure that he has to be displayed in. But overall, I really do like the way that this guy looks. I just really wish that this body, this robotic armor, and then you just stick it in there, and you kind of have to be careful with the arms. You don't want to overdo it, and you don't want to tear them. So kind of go in here like so, and the arms are kind of going to dangle out there unless you kind of position them in a way where maybe they're tucked here in the back, just like so. So I mean, it's a cool idea. I like this idea, and it really kind of goes along with Kraang, and it kind of works. But it just really kind of is unfortunate because of the android body. As far as accessories, he does come with laser guns. This one, which is kind of a weird looking laser gun, I honestly don't know if this is the top or this is the bottom. I guess I could look at a package, but that looks like the bottom there. And he holds them fairly well. It's just, again, you're running into the problem where that's all you're really going to get. And in articulation wise, and actually when you hold them in there, it kind of makes them a little heavy. So it's like you almost have to leave the gun down. Maybe if I use the other side here, let me see how this works, because this gun is definitely bigger and heavier. So I guess that's a little bit better, but in doing so, I mean, that really doesn't look all that good. I mean, going up and then out like that. So I mean, it's hard to get him to actually hold his weapons, because the way that the legs are positioned, it's really almost impossible. Let's see here. Let me try it again. Put it there. And again, I don't know which way is up or down with this one, so we're gonna try it like this. It's really kind of unfortunate. You really have to keep the arm down like so to actually get him to stand. I mean, you can see you start bringing it up, and it makes him top heavy, and he topples over because of the way that these legs are. So really very kind of unfortunate. Nice accessories, they just aren't utilized too well, mostly because of the sculpt of the figure. So looks good, executed kind of badly, if you ask me. And like I said, he's really kind of a pain in the butt to get to stand. So there you go. But now, in terms of a size comparison, here he is. And here you have him next to the turtles themselves, and I'm going to bring Donnie in here because Donnie is the tallest. And you can see that in terms of a size, obviously Kraang is a much bigger figure, and I like that. I like how the other figures are going to be bigger than the turtles. That kind of works for me, because it really kind of keeps these guys as like teenagers and smaller in scale. And then for another size comparison, here he is next to the smaller android version of Kraang from the original cartoon series. And these guys, they're about the same height. The original one's a little bit taller because he's got the goofy antenna, but again, this one actually has a small version of Kraang inside here, if I can get him out. And taking him out, you can really kind of see that, getting him out as well. Obviously, this one is a much bigger version, but you can really kind of see the similarities here. This is a nicer pink, I think, but you can... Wee, look at me! And when it comes comes down to it, the way that the bio reads on this guy, it definitely seems like the Kraang are going to play a very kind of influential part in this series. And I do like that. I love the fact that they're bringing those creatures back into this in kind of an evil sort of role. I do love that idea. Because no matter how often I read the original comic books, and the fact that the brain aliens were, I don't think they're actually called Utroms. I don't think that was a term developed until the 2003 series. I could be wrong. It's been a while, so I don't remember actually what they were called. But no matter how much I looked at those, they always looked like bad guys. They just were ugly and angry looking with jagged teeth and just looked, evil. So I love the fact that they're bringing them back in there in kind of a mass amount, and it's really kind of cool that they're going to be utilizing him as a bad guy. But this figure for me really doesn't work very well. The limited articulation, the fact that these are stuck in, these joints are stuck in a pose that really is very kind of counterproductive to really even kind of displaying them. Even to put them like this, you're stuck doing it like this. So really there's almost no point in having articulation here at the hip because you can't do anything with it. I really think that this is a very nice design for the android body. I just really wish it actually had more articulation and at least have the legs posed in a much better way instead of this robotic walking pose. It just really does not work for me. It really doesn't, and it's very unfortunate because it really seems like the Kraang are going to be very prominent characters in the new series, and it would have been cool to have toys that kind of match that prominence. But again, unlike the Turtles, all these kind of secondary characters seem to have been an afterthought and not really much put into them. So it's really kind of unfortunate. That being said, I really only can recommend this if you are a big time collector and one of those kind of collectors that have to have all the characters. Other than that, I would probably pass on picking this figure up. Great idea, just executed wrongly, if you ask me. But that's about it, guys. So I want to thank you for tuning in, and until next time, this has been Optibotimus. I'll talk to you later.